World War II. The skies over Europe and the Pacific became the most dangerous battleground in human history. Millions of men fought on the ground. Thousands fought at sea. But high above them all, in the freezing, unforgiving sky, a new kind of warrior was born. The men of the United States Army Air Forces were handed a mission unlike anything the world had ever seen. They were told to take the war to the enemy. Not at the border, not at the shoreline, but deep inside enemy territory, striking targets that no ground army could reach. This is their story. By 1942, the United States Army Air Forces had grown from a small peacetime force into one of the most powerful air armies ever assembled. Factories across America ran around the clock, producing B-17 Flying Fortresses, B-24 Liberators, P-51 Mustangs, and dozens of other aircraft in numbers that stunned the world. But machines alone could not win a war. What was needed were men willing to climb inside those machines and fly.
Inside the briefing room, the mood was always the same. Quiet, focused, tense. Pilots, bombardiers, navigators, and gunners gathered around large maps as intelligence officers pulled back curtains to reveal the day's target. A red line stretched from the airbase deep into occupied Europe, sometimes to France, sometimes to Germany, sometimes all the way to targets deep in the Reich itself. The men studied the maps carefully, noting the anti-aircraft defenses along the route, the expected fighter opposition, the altitude they would fly, and the exact second the bombs were scheduled to fall. Questions were answered. Watches were synchronized. And then the briefing ended with the same two words it always did: good luck. The takeoff was a sight that no one who witnessed it ever forgot. Dozens of heavy bombers, each one weighing over 60,000 pounds when fully loaded, rolled down grass runways one after another. Their engines screamed under the strain. The ground shook beneath them. And slowly, agonizingly slowly, the German defenses were formidable. Anti-aircraft artillery, what the crews called flak, could fill the sky with thousands of exploding shells, each one capable of tearing through an aircraft's fuselage like paper. A direct hit could blow a bomber out of the sky in an instant. A near miss could shred an engine, wound a crew member, or knock out the controls. Flying through heavy flak, the pilots were under strict orders not to take evasive action. They had to hold steady, straight and level, so the bombardier could line up his shot. In those long minutes over the target, every man on board was completely helpless. All they could do was fly straight and trust in God. Then came the fighters. Luftwaffe pilots in Me-109s and FW-190s sliced through the bomber formations with deadly precision, targeting the aircraft that had already been damaged by flak, attacking from angles where the defensive fire was weakest. Air battles over Germany could involve hundreds of aircraft on both sides, turning the sky into a chaos of smoke, fire, and falling machines. On some missions, American losses were staggering. Entire formations were wiped out. But still, the bombers kept coming. Day after day, week after week, the Army Air Forces sent its men back into that sky. The answer to the fighter threat came in the form of one of the most important aircraft of the entire war, the P-51 Mustang. With its long-range fuel tanks, the Mustang could fly all the way to Berlin and...
The flight home was always the longest part. Damaged aircraft struggling to keep up with the formation were easy prey for enemy fighters. Wounded crew members fought to stay conscious as freezing air poured through holes in the fuselage. Pilots nursed engines that were losing oil pressure, watching their gauges with expressions that gave nothing away. And when the English coast finally appeared on the horizon, when the fields and villages of England came into view, grown men quietly wept with relief behind their oxygen masks. but not all of them made it back. On the worst days of the air campaign, dozens of aircraft failed to return to base. Ground crews stood at the edge of the airfield, counting the planes as they came home, watching the empty spaces in the sky where familiar aircraft should have been. The losses were recorded, letters were written, and the next morning, before the sun rose, the whole process began again. The cost of the air campaign was enormous. The United States Army Air Forces lost over 40,000 aircraft during the war. More than 80,000 airmen were killed. Tens of thousands more were